Reflect your technique. It may be that you just use your upper body too early. The question is not, Mael is using his upper body too early, so would use it later. The question is why? I'm interested why. The body always behaves in a very logical way. So what is the objective that body of Mael is trying to achieve? Ladies and gents, hello and welcome to this week's video analysis. This is Mael from France. More specifically from Cercle Nautique de France. My French is pretty rusty at the moment. Anyway, if you wonder where this is, I had a brief look and this is where you find it. So if that's Europe, that's the western part of Europe, that's France, that's Paris, so Île-de-France. And in the northwest of Paris, they row on the river Seine. How beautiful. And Mael is 14 years old and his father sent me his footage and said, hey, my son would really be looking forward to some of your feedback. If you ever happen to have a chance to be at some of the French championships, be it small boats or big boat championships, their technical proficiency, just getting off the dock, is remarkable. Now, Mael is on his way to be as precise as his older colleagues from France. However, there's one thing I would like to point out, and this is the one thing I would like to stress about this whole rowing. That Mael, you are doing things which are unnecessary. And I wonder why, and you're not the only one who does that. And it's not related to your age. They say, okay, I'm just 14 years old and I don't know what to do. It is a general thing that rowers try to do things correctly, technique-wise speaking, without thinking about what actually the objective is. What is the aim? What they want to achieve. And the symptom I'm talking about is the one right here. The stroke is over, hands are very close to the body and there's still some lean back and lay back. So the shoulders rotate, although there's actually no progress on the blades, and the body leans back a bit further, although there is no progress on the blades. So why that excessive body motion? I think if we switched our focus to what do we actually want to achieve, we would not fall for the trap that Mael is in right now. Mael is trying to row beautifully, Mael is trying to have a long stroke and so on. So if we just forget about what people tell us what fast rowing means and just feel what's needed, I think would be more effective, way more effective. I'd like to bring up the analogy of throwing something. Now, what do you have to throw here? All right, the measure tape. I'm not gonna throw it, it's pretty heavy. So if I want to throw the measure tape, and I have no clue about pitching, zero. I've never played baseball and I have no idea. But if I want to accelerate this measure tape quickly, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use the least motion possible. Why would I use any excess of motion? And I would not think about, okay, first lift the hand, then bring the hand back. Bring the elbow slightly up, bring the hand a bit more back. Now start to accelerate. What has to go first? Yes, shoulder first, elbow, then, okay, and then the arms down, but leave it at the right moment. This is overthinking. And this may sound contradictory what I'm saying right now, but overthinking can be a problem. The only thing I want to do is just get this measure tape as far as possible for myself, So naturally, I would try to feel the weight of the measure tape in my hand. Relating to rowing, feel the weight of the oar handles in my hand during the drive, or feel the load on the blade that the water creates. That's all we're looking for. And that's one of my prime points of critique. We should aim to feel what's going on the blade versus trying to get the motion right. I'm just feeling what's happening here. And I'm not a specifically kinesthetic person, if you know about being kinesthetic, auditory or visual. I think I'm all three, so I'm not specifically kinesthetic, but my goal is to get this thing moving. So what I do is just I relax where I have to relax. I don't stiffen up, I don't want to punch anybody. And then I feel and let it snap. And exactly that snapping is what we need to do in rowing as well. And if I translated my throwing motion now to Mael's rowing motion, I would actually do this. Measure tape has left my hand and I would do this. Why? Completely useless. And I don't think that you're rowing badly, not at all. you are doing something that a lot of athletes are doing from the age of 10, when I started, to the age of 75, 80, when people slowly think about retiring, maybe 90. I think most rowers retire at the age of 90, 95, if they're still alive then. And the problem is that we tend to forget about what is actually needed. We have a boat that's gliding underneath ourselves. Here at the catch, we're trying to slowly load our blades. So right there, this is where the blades are. This is where we want to feel some load that is transferred through the shaft onto our hands, through the body, lat, armpit, back, and ultimately legs. And I see quite a lot of people who focus way too much on the legs because they heard leg power is what it takes. No, it takes everything. It literally takes everything. There is no way that you say, okay, I'm only gonna do leg power from now, because it's gonna overwhelm the back. Check it out. I think a lot of technique mistakes are the result of trying to do one thing that you heard is the key solution. But the key solution, ladies and gents, is to feel what's going on. Be present. Understand what's going on. I think rowing, of course, rowing is a technical sport. But whenever I get people on the bi-rower, for example, and there's a story I often tell my customers. In 2017, 2018, we at bi-rower won the ISPO Brand New Award. And if you don't know what ISPO is, it's the world's largest multi-segment sports fair. It's located in Munich. Well, they also have one in Shanghai, but the Munich one is bigger. And they have a competition, so you basically can enter your product. And the bi-rower Club Series, which was brand new, then won the award Best New Fitness Product 2018. So we got this expo stand at the ISPO, and the people visiting the fair were 99.9% non-rowers. So I asked my guys at the booth, I say, all right, take the stopwatch for the next 3 days, and whenever I teach somebody how to row, just clock how long it takes. And the person who was the quickest to pick it up, non-rowing, I think that it took about 34 to 36 seconds. But now comes the interesting thing. The slowest person to pick it up was done at around 56 seconds. So less than a minute. How is that possible? First of all, the bi-row has the true motion. So it is easier. The linear drive motion is more difficult to explain. And I started to coach when I was 14 years old, so I have a lot of experience teaching novices. And secondly, I don't talk a lot. Say, this is how you grab the oar handles, left and right. This is the catch position where we start, this is where you need to go, and now start to row. And as I don't give too many inputs, people start to grasp the concept much quicker. If we talk about rowing, there are two ways to correct a technique mistake. The first way is to talk about optics alone, which means at this angle, you have to open the upper body, and if it's 3 degrees or 10 degrees later, it's wrong, which is not true. The other way is to talk about desired results. What do we want to achieve? Now, Mael, to come back to your rowing, what we want to achieve is that you want to accelerate your boat as effortlessly as possible. And you want to make sure the more power you put in, the more acceleration you get. Now, you don't want to overdo it because the quicker and faster you accelerate something in the water, so the greater the change of speed, the more resistance you create in front of that hull, which is a displacer, we know. So at the same time, you can't just not accelerate at all. So you need to find the right balance. And the right balance, in my humble opinion, is a flat force curve. So continuous acceleration without peaking. That's the secret. And in order to do so, what you need to do is use your body in a way where you achieve two main objectives. And I think this video could be very interesting for beginners as well. The first objective is you want to use a very strong but a lethargic and long lever, which are the legs. No matter how long or short your legs are, these will always be longer than your upper body swing can possibly be. So as we talk about this, it is important to understand that while we use the legs, we leave the wrist pretty much relaxed and in standby mode. And the standby mode I'm looking for is an upper body that doesn't pivot too early. Because if the upper body pivots too early, we contract muscles we don't need to contract at that point of time. If you come back to the throw something analogy, it's like tightening up the biceps, tightening up my shoulders, and then already doing this and then pushing forward. So it's like throwing this way. It's not effective. You wanna use the lever at a point of time where the legs, which is my upper arm, is done with the motion. So I basically throw forward the elbow and then whoop, start my upper body motion, which is my hand. Elbow to hand to wrist. This is exactly where I get the extra speed. My aim is not so much to accelerate my hand by getting faster. My aim is to accelerate because I use different levers. This here accelerates the lever that I have right there. At the same time, I store kinetic energy in my hand and let the hand go. Same thing applies to the rowing stroke. You connect with the water, so the idea is to use the water as an anchor, something you can support your blades on, or blades upon, so they should hypothetically sit still in the water, that's my idea. And then start with the leg drive. Now, if you use arms and upper body at the same time, you basically make your stroke much shorter. So whenever you guys have the impression that at the finish something, if it just feels clunky and short and there's not much space at the finish, reflect your technique. It may be that you just use your upper body too early. The question is not, Mael is using his upper body too early, Sol would use it later. The question is why? I'm interested why. The body always behaves in a very logical way. So what is the objective that body of Mael is trying to achieve? The objective is to accelerate the boat as quickly as possible. So I assume, Mael, you have been told to power along with the legs in order to accelerate. Now, if you run full throttle with your legs, what's going to happen to your upper body is that there is a force congestion. Check it out. So your legs can apply a lot of force, but the question is how much can the upper body handle and how much the shoulders and how much the arms. 100% guaranteed not as much. So you're overloading these body parts. And there are basically two ways to transfer energy. The first one is to stabilize the upper body in a position that is naturally stable and suited to have energies floating through in an effortless, easy way. This would be a static stabilization. This is what I'm looking for. And you achieve the static stabilization by giving it a little bit through shoulders, being very gentle on how you start to apply leg power at the catch so you don't overdo it right from the catch, so that your shoulders, upper body can handle it. And as the boat starts to move, more of that energy that you apply from your legs can actually be directly transferred into speed because the boat is already going quicker. A boat that sits still is very difficult to accelerate. So the more power you apply with your legs does not ultimately result in more speed. And that's one of the greatest misconceptions a lot of rowers have. More at the catch is not more speed. Seriously not. It's more feeling at the catch and adapt as you go. It's like me trying to to put in as much energy here as I can, and then I just finish that throw somehow, and the measure tape will by no means fly as far as it could. So I want to make sure I use my lever at the right point of time. So instead of tightening up here or being too aggressive there, throwing something really heavy, I try to give in a little. This is why my hand goes back a little. And then whoop, snap, because the moment the object I'm trying to throw is already accelerated, it's much easier that every bit of energy I add from my shoulders and probably from my hip if I were standing would result in whoop, much directer conversion. And energy conversion is the prime key. Rowing is all about physics. Good. So the problem is here that everything happens too quickly. And Mael, what you should do to cut things short, because I'm already talking a long time now. Mael, what you should do is take it easy at the catch. Don't apply so much power with your legs. Give in with your shoulders a little. Wait with the upper body swing until your legs run out of motion, which is about here. So your legs are in about 1/4 slide position. The main thing about you being 14 is that you are still growing. So basically every month you go in the water, your physiology, your anthropometics, which is the relation of body levers to each other, is changing. That's the main thing. So the only reliable source of information you have is the feeling you get. So kinesthetics, even though you may be a visual or auditory person, are essential to understand how to move the boat. Don't try to visually get the rowing stroke right. Don't try to model somebody else. Try to feel how the load on the blade is evolving, and try to feel how your body is actually contributing to accelerating the boat. And a very good indicator that I always used when I was your age is at the finish, I was aiming to get the snap here. And the snap I'm looking for is right there. The problem is this right here, Mael, is not a snap, because a snap would actually mean a horizontal acceleration of the shoulders. Yep. The point is that you rotate around your hip. The shoulder can only rotate around the hip. So the farther you lean back, the more the shoulder will point downwards. So it will be the vertical part of the rotation. So for your upper body swing, you want to use as much as possible and almost exclusively the horizontal part of the rotation. So you cannot start with the rotation too early, otherwise rotation here, this is horizontal, starts to be vertical now. And this is exactly why your blades wash out, because you're too much into your vertical shoulder rotation around the hip. Another reason why you should wait with your upper body, so that you are closer to the finish, so that you can leave this snap for the finish part of the drive. Now, one last note, and there's so much more to talk about this. Check it out. And by the way, next Sunday I will have with my team, with Team Arm Training, so if you're part of Team Arm Training and you're watching this, on Sunday, 3:30 Vienna time, I'm gonna do a Zoom live for video analysis. So everybody who's on the Zoom live training sessions, indoor training sessions, or who's on my team with the training plans, send me a quick link, send me a quick email or a message on Telegram, and I will send you the Zoom invite for Sunday, the joint team video analysis. So this is where we have 1 hour pretty sharp, talk about technique and get lots of questions from you guys and try to discuss everything in detail. Okay. Now, one last note, why the upper body shouldn't be used too early, and that's the essential. If you try to accelerate, I know a lot of coaches talk about how you should accelerate the blade towards the finish. The idea is, in my humble opinion, not to accelerate the blade, because that's a light object. Think about accelerating something heavy, which is the boat with a lot of break speed from the water. So it's trying to push water away. It makes you behave differently. And the way you accelerate is not so much by adding more power. The way to accelerate is by using levers in a certain sequence. So you start off with the leg drive. And the reason why it should be easy on your legs at the catch is logical, because you overwhelm your shoulders otherwise. But you also want to keep the upper body in its original forward-leaning angle, essentially, because this way, as your leg drive progresses, you still have a bit of upper body lever left, so that what you can do is that you can open the angle here that's supposed to be an alpha, and by changing the lever position here, you swiftly get more speed on your hands at a point of time where the boat is already traveling quite quickly. And this is where it makes sense to use the upper body, because all the energy you apply in your hands has actually a pretty good conversion rate in terms of speed. So effort put in to speed comes out in the boat is a much better ratio than at the catch. Mael, there are a lot of things we could talk about, of course, and would be a blade work. The blades are too close to the water, and there are many, many different things we should mention. And I know there will be a couple of YouTube comments, hey, you didn't talk about this, I think that's important. All true. But if I talked about everything and all the reasons behind it, these videos would not be 25, 30 minutes long, it would be 2 hours, 3 hours long. And no, first of all, nobody would watch it. And secondly, I don't have time to record this. So bear with me. I hope this is still interesting for you. It is something that you can use to benefit. And I know the essential message of this video was use your upper body later, but that's not so simple. There is a reason why the video takes 20, 25 minutes, because it's the reason behind it. Why? And if you understand why, it's much easier to do something right. All right, Mael, I hope this helps you. Everybody, I hope it was interesting. Go to rmtraining.com. There's a menu item called video analysis. If you want to send me your footage, please go to rmtraining.com. It's all explained there how to send it to me. Don't send me direct emails with video files, otherwise my inbox is going to explode. And there is a pretty long waiting list for free and public video analysis on YouTube. Jean-François, I think that's Mael's father's name, sent me his video in November 2020, so quite a while ago. Yeah, my apologies. I do my best to help you all. If you're in a hurry, you can always have your video analyzed much quicker, but this is going to be paid and not public. If you want to join Team RM Training, so if you want to be part of these Zoom live sessions, go to rmtraining.com. There is another section called coaching, and this is where you find, first of all, the training plans. So to be part of the training plan team and part of my team whom I coach. But you also find the Zoom live sessions where you can apply. It's $100 a month, and we get every Saturday 3:30. You have 45-minute live coaching in a group. All right, guys are starting to work heavily outside. I'm at the Biro workshop. I think I'm needed right now. All the best to you. Looking forward to see you next time. Bye-bye.